It is 6:12 p.m. and I will call the meeting officially to order. We've been covering important but not official business up until now.
Can I make one announcement?
Yes, please.
Just because you gabbled in, I just want to remind everybody that we are recording.
Thank you.
So
don't pick your nose.
Yeah, sure. Deal with it.
Anytime I'm in a room is being recorded.
Yes.
My 4-year-old just eat it.
All of our
Don't eat
by
that
law need to be
every
posted
time.
to the
She's like,
website,
oh, I'm going to eat it.
Not
Good
that
reminder.
you're picking your nose on video, you'll be picking your nose online.
For a long time to come. Yes. Thank you.
It's wild.
Yes. So our secretary is either going to be late or not here at all. Is there anyone that I can make take minutes tonight? Everyone does not want to make eye contact with me. Would you be willing to do it? Awesome. So you really just have to write down if there's a motion, and that's the time we started. We're not too formal here.
Okay. Do I need to write down
There's a pen.
doing everything? Or?
Yeah, if you can just write down their name, and then most of the motion text I will just give you tonight. I will make it easy, I hope. But that means I just gave you my copy of the agenda. So I'll be sorry. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So our first formal action, it's item 2 here, approval of the February 11th minutes. As a reminder, you do not need to have been present in order to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Katie, second by Allison. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move the question, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously, as always. Thank you. All right, so our next order of business is the Executive Committee for the 25-26 school year. This will require a slight bit of explanation, just so we're clear on what's happening. I think most of us are aware that the SHAC is guided by certain state laws as well as local bylaws and what are called standing rules. I read through the standing rules and recognized that we haven't really been following them to the letter the last couple of years. No one does. But just to kind of keep us on the up and up, I thought it would be pertinent tonight to make just a slight motion to lay aside our standing rules to have the type of election we normally have. So for the sake of some of the newbies, our election is usually very boring. Would that be a fair statement, Katie?
Yes.
Usually there's very few people who are willing to do any of the roles. They say, yeah, I'm willing to do something, I guess. And then we say, okay, we got 3, good for us. And we kind of go, yay, we can keep going. That's how it usually works. But the process in our standing rules requires for a process over 2 months with like speeches, question and answer period, and written ballots. I'm like, I don't think we need that. So if there's anyone who would so like to make a motion to move us forward tonight, I have motion text written here.
Motion to
like to make
move us forward.
I have several copies. Those of you who I know love process can have a copy of my process.
Love this.
Anyone else want a copy of process?
I could
Super excited.
love it.
I'm going to move us forward. That's my goal. So,
do you want me to go ahead?
anyone has a question? Otherwise, we can entertain a motion. The first one on the page would be the first one. You can just say Katie's making the first motion.
I move to suspend the following portions of the standing rules listed under election process regarding the nomination of next year's executive committee.
Paragraph 1.
Paragraph 1, second sentence. Paragraph 2, first clause of the second sentence. In place of the process outlined in those portions, nomination will be permitted from the floor tonight.
All right. Do we have a second? Second by a lot of people. Let's say Alyssa. You get the notes tonight.
We'll just go down.
All right. So the explanation here is that we don't have to have the process to happen over 2 months. Instead, we'll have nominations from the floor tonight. Is there any discussion, any questions about doing it that way?
I actually do have a question.
Sure.
I noticed that, and I'm one of them.
Yep.
For being here to me so I can cry. Sorry. I was going to have to be on the SHAC forever.
I know.
I noticed that we have a list of names of people rolling off.
Yes.
Should we, are we going to, other than me, who's definitely rolling off?
Yeah.
Should we just assume that those people are going to be renominated, or should we put them aside?
In the past, we've assumed they'd be renominated.
Okay.
Unless you kind of know in your heart that you're not going to be renominated or ask again, then yeah.
I mean, so it's obviously not a guarantee, right? So you fill out, everybody who wants to be renominated goes to the website, fills out the form, so then the forms come to, I believe, Angie. Angie submits them to Patty, who gives them to all the trustees.
Yeah.
The trustees then make their appointments.
Yeah.
They're not limited
No.
who or how many. Like right now, our current process is each trustee gets 2 nominations. So in general, to your point, in general, or excuse
3.
me, in past practice, the nominations just roll forward.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's been common, but I don't want anybody.
No
I don't
guarantee.
want
No one
anybody
nominate
to- I don't want anybody to assume.
Yes, there's no
because,
assumption.
You know,
Yeah.
board trustees,
They do their thing.
they do funny things sometimes.
Yeah.
And so,
Think.
so they just might.
I have that.
Because I was about to nominate. So, so do we
I
want to
have
keep
that-
going through all of this, or do we want to entertain the?
Well, I'll explain 2 things if I could real briefly.
Yeah.
Even if someone is nominated tonight and it turns out they are not serving next year, like you move to Timbuktu in August, okay? We'll fill a vacancy in the fall.
We can have an amendment
Yeah.
type thing in at our first October.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do.
From a procedural standpoint, it's
Yeah.
better to fill a position rather than leave it
Yes.
vacant if it comes to
Absolutely.
But also from a procedural standpoint, this isn't necessarily pertaining to the motion.
Is it about nomination?
What?
Is it about nomination?
Well, we are discussing
We are,
who
yes.
can be nominated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do appreciate your.
The motion's about
your
how
fine. I do
nominated.
appreciate
Yes,
your fine.
the motion is about how to nominate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the people rolling off or have expiring terms would include Melissa, Kelia, who I think I'm pronouncing that right. And after all these years, I'm still not sure. Megna, both Allisons, Alyssa, Monica, and Paula.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that more later, but just in terms of this process, okay? So are there any other questions about the process that would allow nomination from the floor tonight?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to suspend a portion of the standing rules and allow nomination from the floor. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote on that. All in favor of suspending the standing rules and allowing vote from the floor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Then there's a second part of this that if you want to, we can also suspend another portion of the rules. The standing rules right now say that there should be a 3-minute speech by each person nominated and a Q&A period with formal motions. Like, oh, seriously, okay.
Turn that to 10-minute speech.
I want to turn it into a 20-minute speech. Come on. And then it also say we have to solicit 2 volunteers and we have to have paper ballots and tally things. Look, we've never done it this way. If we want to do it this way, I'm happy to. But
No, you're not.
seriously, I love the process. So if anyone wants to make the second motion, you may do so.
I move that we.
It's the italicized.
Italicized part,
I move to
yep.
suspend paragraphs 7, 8, and 9 of the standing rules and instead conduct the election via
You can choose.
voice or show of hands or a method of the chair's discretion.
There we go.
After hearing brief remarks from each nominee. Oh, well.
Or you can eliminate
I'm
that
gonna
if you
stop it
there.
at a method of the chair's
Perfect.
discretion.
That sounds awesome.
I'd like to second whatever.
Second, whatever she said, I love it. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, so we will move the question. Regarding this, is there, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so we'll do the election the easy way. Thank you all. We got there. Okay, so is there anyone interested in serving on any of the positions for next year?
I think Allison should be the president.
Allison should be the president.
That Allison.
That Allison. So I think Allison, you are, so generally speaking, you are allowed to deny. You can decline if you do not want the role.
It should be you.
You can decline. You're allowed.
Allison, it should be you. I'm just saying.
Y'all should check out Blue Bonnet PTA. I think it should be.
I do. And it's
I
fine.
follow no rules though, ever.
We need
you just observed?
a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. Chair and vice chair have to be parents of kids enrolled in the district and cannot be employees of the school district.
Correct. They can be substitutes.
They can be substitutes.
Not regular.
You can't be a lunch lady or a crossing guard or a teacher or something like that. You can only serve in the same role for 2 consecutive years, which doesn't apply to anyone on the current board. So that part's easy. So that is where we are.
So are we doing each position like in a row and then voting for? Or
Yeah.
how are we going to do
Yeah,
it?
we'll just do any nominations. I'm willing to serve where needed again next year. Yeah,
I move that you be the vice chair next year.
sounds great. Anyone interested in the secretary position?
Catch me in another year.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, can I appoint you?
I'm afraid my hat's needed elsewhere.
I actually would tap
Yeah.
Alyssa
Oh,
for
yeah.
that if she has.
So
been-
secretary
You
writes down the motion?
You take the minutes and you submit them to Angie the day after.
But I just hate Robert's rules.
No, you don't have to know anything about Robert's
doing
rules.
minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing,
Doing the minutes.
You
nothing.
seem like a
Just
very
the minutes.
conscientious
I accept
I'm like
as long as
the
they don't-
1 percentile for that. So
I accept.
I'm a semi-trained parliamentarian.
I've done 3 years in PTA and I will not be
No, that's easy.
Just won't.
So is there anyone, any
I'll just
discussion,
go.
any
Sorry.
further thoughts on the subject?
So we've got Allison, Alyssa.
And then, and Becky, yep. Is there any other, I don't want to overlook if someone's
Not
like
everyone all at once.
desperately
I mean,
please,
Gina.
you know.
I can talk a little bit more about why I made those nominations and
I think we're all pretty happy with it, are we?
I saw Allison's slideshow at the last.
She was so organized,
for me.
yeah,
No, I can
yeah.
do a slideshow.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I want to be in charge of this.
So if-
I know with Becky,
are.
Allison with Becky and the vice chair, it'll be fine. You'll be fine, and it should be someone that's
The only
been on
reason I
SHAC
even
for a
showed
while.
up tonight is because she sent an email at 5 saying she was going to be late.
Becky.
And I was like, oh, there's a
Oh, no,
meeting.
yeah, Becky always texts.
If you don't want to, you're welcome to say no, or you're welcome to make an alternate
Or you
suggestion.
guys could flip.
I was going
Right.
to say, that feels a little bit more comfortable.
Switch it up. Feel free. That
So
I'm.
chair, vice chair.
I kind of
chair.
would
Yeah,
stick with her as vice
Someone-
just because
Absolutely.
she can
We need the
assist.
we need
the history.
We need the institutional knowledge.
I mean,
Somebody
really,
who's-
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
institutions.
Yeah, I
you
would
go
love to
off that
retire,
way, you
but
step down.
yeah. Yeah,
So maybe-
especially with you and I think Monica both leaving. We lost a little of our history. So it's like nice to have someone who's got some historical
You are
knowledge.
now a historian.
No. But,
She's a parliamentarian already.
yeah, I mean, I am in any committee I show up for. Does that sound better to you? I don't want
Yes.
to burden you because you're doing a lot
I
elsewhere.
would prefer that.
Okay. Does anyone have thoughts?
So
I think that
as
I like.
Okay.
I think that sounds like a good
Okay.
way to.
And you can
Move
train her
forward.
so that she can run again.
Yeah, so she can do it because next year I'll be done.
Chair and
Yeah.
I'm
training.
nominating you next year. You be quiet over there.
There you go.
Late now,
So Becky, you're
committee
the-
members.
The current on the floor is your
Yes.
retained chair.
Chair.
Allison.
Yep.
so basically, I guess I moved that.
Okay.
Like I made the motion.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
Yes. And in
So
light
it's-
of the motion that Melissa made that we can elect these people at the choice of the chair's discretion, I say we have a polite round of applause. Yay. Okay, we did it. Yay. I think we got through it. That was the hard part.
Or
Okay.
did we approve that motion first?
By a light round of applause.
So I would
But
like,
that's for the.
That's the election.
We did.
That's the
we
election.
did
We
Yes.
approved the motion.
voted
so
on that one.
I'll make it more formal. Unless I hear an objection, I would like to conduct the election by acclamation, which is the big word for applause. Is there any objection? Okay, so we will have the election of me for chair, Allison for vice chair, and Alyssa for secretary by acclamation. Good? Okay. All right, now we did it official like. Okay. All right, continuing with that agenda then, we have done our election of officers for next year. Now we have committee recommendations. We are going to have a brief breakout in committee, and this is primarily because there's something wellness needs to go over for just a couple of minutes. Some of the rest of you might use it as a chance to get a quick snack or just decide who from our group is going to say our recommendation, or if you have any last second changes. Is that good?
Do you just want me to address the group as
You know,
a
that
whole?
might be fine. I don't think any of the rest of us are going to mind hearing it. It's not like it's secret. So, yeah, we'll turn it over to Stacy then.
All right.
Okay.
I think I might have enough hands. All right. So, yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So part of our kind of requirement with the state and Texas Department of Agriculture. Oh, by the way, just in case, I'm Stacy. My last name is Whitcomb. I am the new food service director for our food service department. I've been coming to SHAC for 2.5 years now. 2.5 years, about 2.5 years. So 3 years. So part of our process with the state is that the district is required to have a wellness committee in place, right? So every 3 years, we have to do a triannual assessment of our goals that we had put together in the first initial wellness plan making. So during COVID was our 3-year stint. We got a waiver because of COVID, so they pushed us out a couple of more years. So now we're on our official 3-year of our 5-year plan, but really it's like 6 years. So we had originally, and you'll have to bear with me because this was done before my time. So I'm kind of dealing with objectives and goals that have already been in place. Okay. So I'm going to take. Do you have an extra?
I think no.
Oh, okay.
But someone loan her a copy.
I don't have it memorized. Well, I know, right? I've been staring at it all day long now.
Some of it's in there.
Yeah, it is. So there's 2 parts. So I photocopied 2 parts for you. So we have to go through the triannual assessment, okay? And then the second little sheet is all of the data that we have collected for each one of our goals that we put together in the wellness. And this is part of the wellness committee portion of SHAC, okay? So we go through our goals and we say, okay, have we met our objectives through our data? And we have. Except for goal 8, which I'll get to, but it's kind of difficult to kind of actually put eyes on that goal and objective. So I'll go quickly through them. So we won't take a lot of time.
Stacy?
Yeah.
Can I just clarification? So we're on year 3 of. I mean, I know COVID messed everybody up in all kinds of ways, but are we mid-plan? Like, is this a mid?
We are mid-plan.
Okay, and are these? We've met the goal for like the whole plan, or we've met the goal of where we're supposed to be at mid-plan?
This is the whole plan.
The whole.
So we're ahead of the game.
We are ahead of the
Thank you.
game. We are this is our triannual assessment of our big plan.
Which is due when?
Which is, it's a 5-year plan, so we've got another, so probably next year we need to start looking on our plan as a whole of whether or not we want to change any of these objectives. Okay? And we can go as far as, there's wealth that we can change with the wealth.
Do y'all come up with the goals or?
Yeah, we come up with the goals as a committee. So now there's a worksheet involved that TASB put together and TDA, and all of that. That has, it's kind of like a guide. Mm-hmm. So when we're ready to do the big plan and review the big plan, we'll take the worksheet out and we'll go through the worksheet and pick our objective from there. Okay? So these are the ones that were chosen before us, all right? So goal 1 was making sure that we had a 2% increase, I know, right? A 2% increase in our meal participation, okay? So because we were supposed to do this during COVID, I ended up taking data, okay, from 2022 and comparing it to 2023, which is not too far off because we're in school year 24-25. So, and we actually had a 7% increase in meal participation between those 2 years, which was really good. So we met that objective. The other objective that I wanted to kind of go over a little bit is that we have these scorecards. So they're called Smarter Lunchroom Scorecards, okay? And our team, my team, goes out and we review, and I'll give you a couple of examples, you can pass them around. We go out and we review all of our schools and to make sure that they have, that they're focusing on their fruit, that they're varying their vegetables. And of course, we all know that within our department because we put the menu, together. But they're they have the salad on there there, and the fruits and the vegetables, and the milk. And then we go as far as to look at student involvement as well, and also the atmosphere of the cafeteria and the kitchen during service time. So, and then we go around and we look to see, what kind of nutritional posters are out there in the cafeterias. Do we have community involvement in our, especially kind of our elementary schools and our middle schools? So we're quite involved. We're quite involved in making sure that, within that area of the kitchen and the cafeteria, food is front facing. Most of these goals surround physical education. I'm not going to go through too much information because that's kind of Tara Hollywood's realm. She pretty much, gave me all of her data points on, how many kiddos are participating in PE, what are the schools doing for after school and before school activities for their kids. And then also, how is the community involved? Are they doing catch programs? Are they involving their parents in activities before and after school? Do they have, neat things on the weekends that's surrounding physical activity and wellness? And then the other goal 6 and goal 8. Goal 6 is to make sure that the district is providing a low-cost health assessment evaluation through their medical insurance. Okay? They are, but it's one of those goals. So when you look through these goals, and if you want to be on the wellness committee next year, you can look through them and say, do we want that goal again? Do we want to focus on that, or do we want to focus on something possibly different? Just like goal 8, one of their goals was, to make sure that we sell at least smart snacks. Some of the smart snacks that we offer in our campuses are sold in the concession stands.
Why is it capitalized? Is this like a trademark? Why is that capitalized?
What, capitalized?
Smart
Snacks is trademarked.
Okay, that's what I was at.
Yep.
Yeah.
So smart. I won't get too much into my education piece, but
it's kind of cool.
Because I can get on my little.
I kind of love it, though.
No, I asked. I'm curious. I was legitimately curious.
Yeah.
So please,
Yeah.
soapbox away.
I'm going to stand on my soapbox. So smart snacks is they are controlled, specially formulated snacks that we offer the kids in every grade level. So if you were to walk into one of our cafeterias and see Pop-Tarts and see Doritos and see Cheetos, those are not the type of snacks that you can get at the grocery store. They're specially formulated snacks. They are low calorie, 0 trans fat. They are whole grain snacks. Those Pop-Tarts, whole grain. Those Rice Krispie Treats, whole grain. You can't buy them. I think the only thing that you can purchase that's the same is the Smart Food popcorn.
Yeah.
That's it. All of the vendors that we deal with, they reformulated all of our snacks so they are considered Smart Snack approved. And that's what we are only allowed to feed.
And that's, I swear, one more question.
I love the questions.
I'm super curious about this
Yeah,
now.
that's fascinating. Yeah.
So is this like through the Department of Agriculture, I guess?
This is. It's a
Okay.
program through the USDA because Round Rock is on the program. So we say on the program because we are on the National School Lunch Program and we are on the School Breakfast Program. Okay. So when a district is off program, okay, that means that they don't get reimbursement rates from the states or the federal government for free and reduced and paid care.
So that's because we're above a certain threshold of T1, like T1 students, or how?
We are, as a district as a whole, we have more free and reduced kiddos within our district. That
so like Westlake is
qualify.
Probably not, Eanes, I
We will
assume.
never be off program.
Yeah, okay.
As a district as a whole.
That makes sense.
So when you're on a program like that and and the government is giving the district money for feeding the kiddos, we have to follow all the rules.
So is that why you've got
That's why
it?
we run that.
Got it.
One
All
of
right.
the rules. So
Like the popsicles and
popsicles are all
Yeah.
low sugar.
Because
no
they're
sugar.
farm subsidies.
Yes. Your kid will come home saying, my kids come home saying, Mom, I got Lucky Charms. I'm like,
No, you
no, you didn't.
It's all
It's
over-
different Lucky
yeah.
Charms.
It's all
They
over
don't
the
know
website.
it,
It's
don't
all
tell
over
them.
My
the-
kids love these popsicles, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what are you
No.
popsicles?
Yeah.
The ice cream is frozen yogurt.
Yeah. They don't know it. Don't tell my children.
Our children.
And the parents, but I'm wondering why parents don't know this.
Oh, no, Charlie does know it, my
1,000
son,
parents
and he
that don't
brings
know
salt
it.
in his
Yeah.
pocket.
We get nasty emails constantly about the junk in our cafeteria. And the high fructose corn syrup.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you just
Red
email them
dye.
with the pamphlet about smart snacks?
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
so much sense. I was like, this is really tedious. Why are y'all doing this?
This is what smart snacks are.
You're very welcome. Reimbursable meals. Okay, so I'm going to take a lot.
They're finding it interesting. Keep going. Yeah.
That's why I'm on these committees.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
No, so actually one of my friends, her husband.
Exactly.
We were literally learning. Yeah.
So I'll kind of make it short because it's kind of, it's a lengthy process. So reimbursable meals, what that is that when there's a district that's on program and we offer free, reduced, and paid children, okay? They fill out your free and reduced forms, okay? So those meals, okay, are leveled through the state, through federal funding. Okay, so a free child, if a child qualifies for a free meal, the district gets more reimbursement from the state for that. Okay, so because the child is free, they can't,
Can't charge them.
we can't charge them. So the state says, okay, we're going to give you $3 for that child to eat. Okay. When they're reduced, the child has to pay a little bit for their lunch or their breakfast. It's 30 cents for breakfast and 40 cents for lunch. Okay, but the reimbursement rate that the district gets is a little bit less than a free kid. And then of course your paid children are supposed to be paying, so they pay $3 for their meal. And the state will say, okay, well, we're only going to give the district like 40 cents for that kid because you're getting $3 for that child. Anyways, where all that money goes, okay, it goes into the child nutrition fund account, okay, to the district. So it's a totally different fund than the regular general fund that the district.
When we're watching the budget meetings, that's the separate slideshow. Okay.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So the child nutrition fund is separate, totally separate from the regular district. And we're only allowed to touch that money to make our child nutrition department better.
It's like the tiered funding.
So they can use it to pay for lunch ladies.
So
And then
we
the
can-
free and reduced lunch numbers, those are like used to determine all kinds of stuff,
All
like
kinds of
it
stuff
right?
within
Yeah.
the district. Yeah, we work with Title I, we work with teams. A lot of smaller districts will look towards the child nutrition department to make decisions on if they're going to, charge tuition for pre-Kers and, how they're going to qualify kiddos income-wise. They'll just fill out a free and reduced lunch form. That's their qualifying form. It's a federal form, and it's. Yeah.
And then what makes up a reimbursable meal?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. You can answer. Because it's fascinating.
Okay. So we are what's called an offer versus serve, okay, district. Okay. We are not a straight serve district, meaning that if we are a straight serve district, the child that came into the elementary school would have to have all 5 things on their tray forever. They wouldn't be able to make any choices. They would need to have a milk. They would need to have a vegetable, a juice. A juice, their entree, all of that stuff, and then we force feed it to them.
You just hand them a tray of.
We hand them a tray.
Hand them a tray, no
Sorry,
choice.
kiddo, this is what you have for lunch. We're not that. We are an offer versus serve. That means that we have more options for them. So when you go into the elementary school, you're going to see, and I say elementary school because those are our parents that are most vocal.
And it makes the most sense, really. Yeah.
We have at least a hot and a cold vegetable option, 2 options of fruit. Typically, it's either a canned fruit, which is not in syrup, it's always in a juice, and 100% juice, and a fresh fruit. We also have a juice. We have milk, and we also have 2 cold option entrees, either a salad or a sandwich, and then we have 2 hot option entrees. And we always have a vegetarian option on as well. We offer multiple gluten-free options as long as the parents are communicative and let us know that their child needs that special diet.
And there's picture menus.
And we have pictures.
Oh, yes.
I love the picture. Yes. So that's us in a nutshell.
Big fan.
In a really, really.
So if you go through the meal as a 3rd grader and you got your little tray and
Yep.
all you take is the juice and the milk, is that a reimbursable meal?
That is not
No.
reimbursable.
There you go.
No. So this is where we come into problems because we give the child a choice, okay? So on pizza day, pizza day is every Friday, okay? That child could pick 1 slice of pizza and a juice. That's a reimbursable.
Yep.
Because it's an entree.
Okay, you have an entree. We have specifics that we have to make sure that the child has, okay? They need to always have a fruit, a juice, or a vegetable, always on the tray. That's pretty much what makes the reimbursable meal. You need a fruit, a vegetable, fruit or vegetable, not and. Juice can be one of them because it's 100% fruit juice. And then they need their grain, okay? And then they need their meat or meat alternative. So those are the
A
components.
plate that has all 3 of those, we get the reimbursement, either the 40 cents or.
Doesn't matter.
Yep.
They can walk out with a pizza and a juice and the reimbursement rate's the same.
Yep.
That doesn't matter.
But for the free and reduced versus paid.
Yep.
Okay.
It's all in qualifying.
Okay.
You fill out that application and then it's income-based. It's just like this.
No, I mean, the reimbursement that the district gets from the government is based on whether or not that meal that child had was.
Doesn't matter what the meal is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
No,
No, as long as they take the proper component.
It has to be a reimbursable
Yeah.
meal.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the reimbursement amount is based on the child that is taking that plate out of
Yes.
the cafeteria.
Whether or not they're free, reduced, or free.
Yes,
Yep.
that's what I'm asking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and we find that out by filling out that form.
Gotcha.
So.
I am sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I have a couple, so I hope you bear with me. On goal 1, the district will increase participation in federal child nutrition programs. What are some of those programs?
I just went over that. It's the National School
Okay, it's
Lunch
the same one,
Program.
okay.
The same one.
The
Okay.
student, the breakfast program.
Okay.
But we also have a dinner program that we run. We also have a snack
Weekends.
program
Yeah.
that we run, an after-school snack program, and an after-school dinner program.
Can I
Go ahead.
piggyback on that? What about the summer program? I know that last year there was some,
We always run a summer program.
regardless if the funding is there or not.
It's always.
It's always there because it's federal,
always there.
right? Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
state funding that the state
Yeah.
gives,
Right.
that,
It's always.
It's a flow through.
no, but Texas has.
Do you want me to-
Well, the federal funds, Texas is refusing to take them.
They're saying it's.
Right.
I
So
don't know.
HHSC
To tell you
has.
the truth, I have absolutely no idea. I've been very poor at following that right
Yeah.
now.
You're
Like, because I'm very guilty.
Feed the children. Feed the children.
So I
Yeah.
am not, I have no idea, excuse me, somebody's trying to get in touch with me.
So I know, like, specifically for last summer, the state did not take the federal funds that were provided for the summer lunch
The
program. So,
district still got paid.
okay, so if
Yeah.
the district did it, it wasn't from the federal funds. So
We have, I
Was it
think
like
we
it was-
have no idea,
We don't know
honestly.
where it might
I don't think she knows, and I don't think anyone in this
It comes
room
from the
knows.
state.
Yeah.
The state
Yeah.
gets the fund, I don't know how the
Yeah.
state
Yeah,
gets
let's-
funding from the USDA.
Way over us.
Okay, but
Yeah.
the district puts in their claim, okay, with the state of
Yeah.
Texas. So they, they take all the meals that we serve and they say, hey, Texas, this is how many meals we serve, this is how many free meals we serve, this is how many reduced meals we serve, and this is how many paid meals we serve, give us our money.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they deposit it right into the child nutrition fund.
Is the, for the scorecard, the goal was bronze level. What were the requirements to meet that and why was the goal not
It's
higher?
right over here.
Yeah,
And
it's in the
not,
data.
and we made silver. It's all in the data, it's all in the data, so if you look through
listed
here,
by
you
school.
can
Yeah.
see it's all through here, okay? So we actually made little tiny print, we made a silver, so these are all of our campuses that made silver and all of our campuses that made bronze. We don't have any bronze campuses, and this is the scorecard that we go through.
And who completes that?
We do.
Okay.
Huge increases in the total meals for
those
rock,
years.
for rock and for early success.
Well, that enrollment fluctuates, because it all depends on. how
Yeah, it's a
many kids out
rolling,
there.
it's a
So-
rolling number, right? How do you, yeah.
Always. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
For
probably
the-
when new ones.
For the menus, they're also posted, beyond the website, they're also posted in the cafeterias, correct?
Sure are.
Yep. It's hard to not see the menu.
Except at the high schools. We don't do that at the high school level. They can go on to the website and they look at the menu. So, we have stations. We used to go to the high school, right?
Yes.
So,
Easy to see.
What in the world happened to City Falls?
All right. So do we need to formally approve this plan?
Yes, we
Okay.
need to formally approve
Okay.
the plan for this year and our goals, since we have met all of them. Our goal 8, we didn't have enough data to support it because it's very hard to kind of manage that concession stand. So I would ask that maybe next year the wellness committee reevaluate that goal and we can possibly pick another goal.
I'll write that down on my notes for next year. Concession stand stuff.
For goal 3 about the grade and do students
The PE, that's not my realm, I'm food. So I can answer that, no, I like to say that, I'm food. So I can answer that as best as I can, so.
students, they receive a grade in PE, is that?
It's got E and S in the
I
data,
think
so.
it's pass and fail.
Yeah,
It's a pass and fail, it's not a letter grade.
I mean, in the early years, when it's still approaching standard, met standard, when that's still how they're graded, they have to meet the standards. Like, there is a PE standard every year.
Tara's data that came back did not come back with an grade.
Right.
So that might be another goal that we need to reevaluate.
Yeah.
Look at it.
The elementary school level, they don't get a grade.
Measure that.
Yeah, and measure that in a different way.
They do meet the there is the standard that they meet in whatever grades don't get numbers. And then once they switch to third, it's something else, pass, fail, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's.
T's almost been passed.
How far back, like, do you have data, like numbers from, like, just right before COVID, how many people were eating lunch? And then.
Don't ask, I don't know by heart.
No, I'm just curious. I think that would be
Oh, come
interesting to
on.
see, because it was like the numbers before COVID, and then during COVID, everybody got lunch for free.
Yes.
And then
Never
like,
come back.
and then the numbers right afterwards, and then I don't know, I think it's interesting.
It's actually, the program is become kind of sad. We have lost so much participation, especially this year. It's been kind of frustrating a little bit. Because, we keep, putting new things on the menu and just offering, all of this stuff, especially at the high school levels, they've got pods and they've got coffee shops and, I mean, it's almost too much. But the kids just, they're not interested. When this was originally done in 1718, we were serving, I would say, probably about a total of about between 18 and 19,000 meals a day within the district-wide. Today I looked and we served, well, actually, excuse me, 18 to 19,000 lunch meals we served. Today I looked, we were like 16,400.
Yeah.
So, and our enrollment is going up.
Interestingly, that also kind of, that shift from like 18,
that's
19
happened.
numbers reflects like our membership numbers too. Like
Yeah.
that same kind of weird pivot where like
Yeah.
our population has increased,
Yes.
but there's
Right.
just not,
Yeah.
it's that engagement information,
engagement,
bringing people
so-
in part of the puzzle.
Yeah, we did have a spike when it was all free. I wasn't here during that period of time. I was managing Bastrop, so I was at the Bastrop ISD. Oh my goodness, we were meals out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, every single kid was eating. And then of course, you know, the year that they went back to, sorry, it's not free anymore, that was, and every year since then has just been a dwindle of non-participation within student nutrition. And it's so important, especially at breakfast. It's so, you know, it's so important to get them to eat. And especially the, you know, the free and reduced children, just to get them to eat is a challenge.
So do we know, I mean, is that tied directly to how, you know, whether it's free, or do we not really know?
I think it's a lot. It's a lot in it. I think it's, you know, partially the restrictions that the USDA has put on us with regards to what we can do with the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're intense.
Because during COVID, for example, there were
My
times that
friend's husband's
sandwich was served
what
on a
you
brioche
do
bun.
in
It was
Liberty
gorgeous
House.
because they got waivers for stuff.
We got so
It was
many
served with salt
waivers.
again.
There was a difference.
There was a difference in the
Okay,
food.
because I feel like
Yeah.
that's what I noticed just
Well,
anecdotally for my daughter, that the
actually-
lunches during COVID seemed different than they are
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
So they
We
were.
got a lot of waivers
Yeah.
because we had a lot of supply
couldn't
chain
find it.
issues.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had to give us waivers.
That
So-
big boat got stuck sideways.
The really big change
Now.
with child nutrition came in 2010 during the Healthy Kids Movement Act. And that was during the Obama administration. And Michelle Obama changed the entire program for the betterment, you know, because yes, we had, you know, there was a large increase in child obesity that was happening and lots of junk food. So, but, you know, kids are kids. And, you know, we can't have salt in our food. So it makes an enormous difference, you know, not even, it's going to get worse.
A bag of salt.
They're bringing in.
Yes, my kids do.
I bring my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're, you know, lowering the sugar requirement. So, you know, even though we're already low sugar, almost no sugar, I mean, they have to go out and reformulate all of our cereals again. We in Central Kitchen are going to have to reformulate our most popular item, which is our cinnamon rolls. Because they're becoming even more stringent with
There's
the sugar
there's some kid out
requirement.
there, that's the only thing they eat, and now they won't even be able to eat
Yes.
that.
And it'll be mine.
yeah,
It'll be my
and
child.
now,
That'll be my
you
son.
know, and now even a more stringent salt and sodium restriction is coming down.
Coming
the
down.
line.
I even wrote to the FDA saying don't do that,
It's
but
like a
they didn't
negative,
listen.
right?
Are you,
Yeah.
has to have an increased water content?
Like last year, we used to get like these packets, but they had soda, they had salt and pepper in them.
Not last year.
Or maybe it was the year before.
Yeah, they're kinda not
But I have
supposed to.
eaten there when they give them to adults.
Yeah.
They don't give them to kids.
Oh,
no.
They don't even have
Children
them to
can't get
adults
them.
now.
Yeah.
You can't get them
Yeah.
in the cafeteria. You know, so I bring them.
So that's cost us.
So what happens to the extra? Like,
This is our new vice chair.
you get,
So one other
you get
question.
your truck or, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
No.
what happens if not all of the food that you're expecting to be able to receive reimbursement for, do y'all just like eat the difference?
Oh, no, we have a whole process. We
Oh,
forecast
okay.
out.
I won't make you
Yeah.
talk about that.
I
I'll ask.
can't even imagine.
I'll have a chat with
It's a whole,
ChatGPT
you know,
about it later.
we have a menu program. We
Yeah.
forecast how many kids are eating, so we make sure that we're not over ordering for food. And, you know, we have a whole big waste program that we monitor.
And the last couple of weeks of school, the menus changed because of that.
Oh, yes. I mean, we change menus
Oh, all the time.
weekly.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
Elizabeth, our RD, I mean, if there's a menu item that's tanking and not doing well, we'll rip it right off and we'll throw something else on. Right now, they love pizza sticks.
Whatever.
You know?
Go with it.
Pizza sticks.
My kids do.
So they like the pizza sticks. So we'll make quick decision changes just to get them in the door.
Do you have numbers on like participation in eating in school related to the schools that have gardens?
No. Interesting.
Just because Round Rock seems to be so progressive with the
We
school
do.
garden
We have a
program,
lot
I think
of
that
school
would
gardens.
be really,
Yeah.
it's just some interesting
Well,
data.
I can give you, I mean,
Just go for it, like thinking
Deepwood
about
is
goals.
one of the garden, schools,
Yeah.
and they're not a very high free and reduced school, and we have very low participation compared to the enrollment. So we look at enrollment, and then we look at meal participation, and what the percentage is there between, how many kids are going there and how many kids are eating in our cafeteria. I mean, we have schools that, especially like Stony Point, very high free and reduced school. And you would expect that we would be serving more than half of the students there. No, we're even going out and asking them, we do chef pop-ups, and, I mean, I've got my executive chef going out there and cooking them real wings. Just get them in the door.
Yeah.
So they're very stubborn.
Teenagers?
No, never.
Very stubborn.
And y'all are good about promoting
What are they
it.
doing instead of participating? Are they just not eating? Are they
Yeah, some of
eating-
them are not eating. Some of them, bring their lunches. Some of them.
In general, our teens are really challenged with making sure they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not just in the food stuff. We see it in there's a big drop off in services that get requested at the high school level because it comes from the kid and not the parent. And our teenagers are just either being stoic or there's something happening that they're not asking for the help that they qualify for and need.
We actually did, especially at Stony Point, we sent out a push notification to the children, not parents, reminding them that they qualify for free meals. So, and we expected we do things like that, we'll talk directly to them.
Can you do it to
There
the
are many
parents?
components that go into
Too? Like,
The parents, no, because they're filling out the applications. But, it's the communication from the parent to the child that we're seeing is not really kind of happening because, there's a lot of kids, especially at Stony Point, that didn't realize that they were free or reduced or qualified for that. But, we work with counselors at, the elementary schools and because we can kind of gauge if if they have a negative balance in their account and they're continuing to eat, how come they're not filling out a free and reduced lunch application? How come their parents not filling out? So we'll go to the counselor and say, hey, this kiddo is, negative $20 in their account. They want to eat. Can you see if they qualify? We'll send out, we do a large push at the beginning of the school year.
Y'all do. Y'all are really good about it.
And reduced, getting, and we do have a lot of demographic that are afraid to fill out the application because it's a government form and they're, and they qualify. So that's really difficult. because I'm sure as a district, we'd probably be, if everybody that, qualified filled out an application, we'd be a lot higher in the percentage of
Is there any, because every year when we we re-enroll our kids in school and we have to fill out that,
Yeah.
I wonder if you collected them as part of that form. So who cares if everyone's filling them out? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a choice. We can't force them to fill out the free and
No,
reduced.
I'm just saying, those forms have to be filled out. And
Yeah.
if you're sending them to parents, when you're sending them these other forms that also have to be filled out, maybe more of them. Maybe more of them will get filled out.
We've kind of gotten away and wanted to get away from the paper forms, so now it's all online.
Right.
So is that,
yeah.
So are these forms?
Right,
could
that's
just
what
be
I'm
a-
saying.
But
They're
it's
linked
not
to
connected.
Yeah, it's a separate system.
I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
It's a totally separate system
Right.
from the registration system that, you have to.
Can you fill it out in advance? Because don't you also have to fill it out during the school year?
No, it only,
No?
it comes out usually
once a year.
around July or June. Okay?
Right, I mean, that's
Because
one of the biggest.
It's every year's a new form.
Right.
Yep.
So, because there's new income guidelines and
Right.
qualifications that the government.
I think that's why it
puts
can't be
out.
linked. It's not the same timing.
So,
if you
usually
put
around
a
June
link
or
to it
July,
in
the
the
new
email,
form
but the
will
form's not
be,
ready.
Hmm.
When we do the registration.
I mean, I'm on a Title I campus, and so my kids are both in a high Title I campus, and we get weekly reminders until about November, December.
Oh, yeah, we
to-
push them through.
To fill out, from the principal, from staff.
Yeah,
to
we
fill out.
worked at Jollyville, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
constant
Same thing.
reminders
Yeah.
in the fall
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
please
Now,
remember.
you can fill
Fill it out.
that out the entire school year.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to
Right.
be at the
Yeah.
beginning of the school. You
Yeah.
could fill out, any family can fill out a free and reduced lunch form in January. If they fill out a free and reduced lunch form in August and don't qualify, something happens, God forbid, they lose their job or whatnot, income changes in September,
It's all okay.
you can
Always
fill out
qualify.
another application
Yep.
and qualify. We are required under the federal government that even if there is no income on that form, we are to approve it. No income listed. So,
As in they
That's
don't
great
fill it out,
info.
or is they, as
no,
in
no,
they put zero?
they don't put, they put zero.
Okay, they put
Yep.
zero.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, if it's blank, you just.
They got
There would be a loophole there. Yeah.
I was like,
So,
okay.
I love it when you talk because I think we all learn things. Like you're talking, there's some crazy people online who whine about this. There are our own kids who go, why did we order this? They're their friends who don't eat lunch. I think, we talk about this being an advisory role, but us as parents and community members, you can remind the people in your lives, the food tastes good.
Little pebbles,
Yes,
right?
we can make little waves of impact.
Take this information
Yes.
That's why we bring this stuff.
Yes, and we try it and we find things that work, so. I love you guys. Seriously, you're my favorite department, so,
I
yeah.
just want to try the different snacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can bring you guys a couple
Yeah.
of snacks.
Can we buy, I know you said we can't buy the smart snacks, but can we buy the smart?
If you're in the cafeteria, you can buy yourself one.
Just clear the shelf, I'd like to take all of these. Well, this is as part of behind the right?
She's got ideas.
Wait, what can we do?
You can always have us give you smart snacks
Cater.
through our catering program.
Oh, yes, we use the catering program an awful lot, we love it.
You can buy whatever you want from us.
Yeah, we were just there, we celebrated a campus's
So,
golden apple breakfast yesterday,
If you want
and
cases of smart snack
Incredible.
Doritos or, smart
maybe
snack
I'll wield my
popcorn
considerable
or
influence.
whatnot.
Yeah, notably, yes.
So,
You're being
you have to have a budget code and money.
Public
I
record.
do. I know, it's too late. I owe you guys money. Thank you for reminding me.
So I love all their questions. I think you
me
do
too.
too. So
I love
I
to
sometimes
talk.
just email her questions and she knows things.
I love
So-
learning about all of these
We
little
do.
wheels
So-
and gears and
Yeah.
cogs and stuff, it's fascinating.
On food service because it is not a department that many people ask, questions about. It's a lot of assumptions.
It's a huge.
They just compare what you're doing wrong.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sure you
thank
hear it from a lot of the happy parents. And
It's a huge portion of our agriculture machine
It is.
in the United States.
We all
too,
pay for
actually.
So thank you.
Are you open to or offer opportunities like if a PTA or like a principal wanted to have you come to a parent coffee or to something like that?
Let's talk about this stuff.
I love to
And their
talk
team is
about my
great.
department
Yeah.
and what we can do, and just to educate on the program. We're not evil. We don't serve junk.
They gotta live with the salt.
We are all about fruits and vegetables and good food and healthy snacks. That's, that's what we're here. So the assumptions, we all feel very hurt when we get a lot of those emails from, the parents that just don't understand and don't know about the program.
They're not trying to.
No,
They just want to complain. Yeah.
That's people.
So it's, we work really hard in our department. We have scratch-made stuff that we, make in-house, right? And that's very unusual for a district, especially our size district. To be able to make our rolls in-house, our cookies, our cinnamon rolls, our sauces, our taco meats, our salsas. I mean, we make that all from scratch.
Yeah.
There is a lot of stuff that the community does not know and understand, that we, don't serve. Not all of the food that we serve is processed by any means. I mean, we do have Tyson chicken and and all of that stuff, but that's all wrapped up into more government assistance through commodities, and that's a whole other. That's a whole other.
Let's leave that rabbit hole for another day.
I would love to go into that. That's
So,
my favorite.
Thank you, everyone, for all the questions. I'm serious.
Thank you
Email
very
her.
much.
She asked a great question later.
Please email
Very
me
good.
If
Yeah.
you have any questions on the website, email Elizabeth. She is our registered dietitian we have on staff. I mean,
So
just
helpful. Yeah.
Email us, please. before
And then also
any
next year, if
assumptions.
some of this interests you, be on the wellness committee next year, because that's where
Make
some of these things
changes.
come up.
We need your help.
Yeah.
We really do.
Yeah.
To get the word out to, other parents and PTA members and, so they can
You should come
get
to one of
their
our delegate
kids
meetings and come
into-
talk
yeah.
to the members. I'll email you.
I love it.
Got ideas.
We'll see.
All right, so I think we need to move
connect
forward with
offline.
approval of the wellness plan
please.
as presented.
Thank you.
So we would entertain a motion. We got a motion and we got a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? We've had great discussion. All right. Any questions? No. So we'll move to question. All in favor of approving the wellness plans, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Everybody.
Ann made the motion. I'm going fast, and Melissa seconded it. And it's all recorded, so if you miss it, I can watch the recording in a couple days.
That's right.
It's all recorded.
It is all. You're awesome. You did great. All right, so we're going to try to move now to our recommendation part. Yeah. Are there any?
Need a red light.
Yes, recording live.
On air.
Are there any committees that need a moment to get your ducks in order, or are we all happy? I think we're pretty good. We've been talking about this all year. So this is now the point in our year where we can get to the final recommendations. And as I've said all year, we are not required to pass any recommendations. I think the work that we've done this year, I think these are probably all going to be pretty easy ones to pass. Our normal process involves making a motion, making amendments, and voting. But as I spent 4 hours today reading our bylaws and standing rules, I realized we don't actually have to do it that way. Our bylaws actually call for us to make decisions by consensus, only needing a vote if we think something is contentious. So, if it is okay with all of you, I intend to move forward with this with a little bit more casual conversation than some of you will remember from past years, because I think we've discussed this a lot. I personally want to be careful that we're not overlooking the perspective of someone who's quiet and may not want to raise their hand. So I will be watching to make sure that I don't notice someone who's doesn't want to say something. Is there any objection to moving forward in a casual manner by our bylaws? Okay, awesome. So we have explanation of the recommendation process. Oh, and then just as a reminder, after we approve recommendations, they will go into a written format The written format gets prepared into an annual report. The annual report includes things like our attendance and the people we talk to, and then a formal listing of our recommendations, as well as all the supporting information, i.e. all the wonderful information from your PowerPoint. Anything else that you have found that you can throw in there as supporting evidence, and that becomes our formal record that is presented to the district to say, this is what we did this year. We met the required number of times, we had the required number of people present, and we made these recommendations. We pass it off to the board, we pass it off to Dr. Gerard's staff, who tells us something about it in the fall, perhaps. That's kind of what it looks like. Make sense, everybody?
Sorry.
At the moment, we anticipate that there will be a presentation to the board, correct?
Yes.
We think.
It's an option.
It's an option.
Yeah, there's a,
Yeah.
I believe it's the May board meeting.
Yeah.
Placeholder.
Has a placeholder for it.
That you all can decide whether you want to verbally present your
Yeah.
recommendations or, like I believe last year, the committee decided just to submit in
Yeah.
written form.
And part of last year was that none of us were honestly available. I was at Mount Rushmore that day.
Well, we had
So-
two last meetings.
Yeah.
Do they
Yeah.
need a PowerPoint? Because
we would love to have a PowerPoint.
I hear a
may be
vice
stealing
chair.
a lot of that content. I may be stealing it, in all honesty.
That's fine.
So some of that we'll determine based on schedule, and some of that, once we get this written report together, I will email everybody, and I'll kind of get a feel from it at that time. I think our thought last year was that we shouldn't skip the oral report more than a couple years in a row, because the community needs to know that we exist, the board needs to know that we're still working.
I think we need an oral report.
I'm pretty sure we're getting an oral report this year, if it works in schedule.
Yeah, it's fair.
I think it's going to
I
happen.
am also in favor
You know,
of the
The only reason it
Yeah.
didn't happen last year is because the conflict.
We could not happen,
Meeting
yeah,
nurse couldn't be
yeah.
there, so
Yeah, and of course, that we serve at the board's discretion, so all of that still applies. So that's where we're moving, that we're going to make some recommendations, they're going to get written down onto a document, and then who knows? Just because we pass it as a recommendation does not mean the district is obligated to take action or do something about it. It's just we're saying we think this should happen. Clear?
Clear.
Okay, so let's go over the recommendations. Did everyone get a copy? It says draft on it. The draft of the recommendations?
I did.
Okay, so I would like to start with that one at the top from mental and behavioral health. Would someone from that committee like to read it and offer an explanation if you feel necessary?
I don't mind. Mental and behavioral health, just kind of as a reminder, our goal was to keep any recommendation needed to be cost neutral, just because we
Yeah,
knew what a bind the district was in.
yeah.
This one was statutorily required, I believe.
Yes.
So our recommendation is RISD should deliver a curriculum to students, which may or may not exist yet, in grades 6 to 12 regarding the dangers of opioids, including addiction to and abuse of synthetic opioids such as fentanyl, in accordance with state law.
Very good. Are there any questions or discussion about this item? I think we've talked about it multiple times
Good
over the
luck finding a
last 2 years.
Yeah, well, I think
Yeah.
it just came, I think it was out of the last session, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's some, there's a state law that says we have to say what grades can do this. You're checking that box.
That's the one that's Tucker's law.
No,
Or is that different?
I think it's different.
There's,
No, it is Tucker's Law.
I think it is.
there
I
are
think
two
it's Tucker.
components, in my opinion, it was written by committee, because there's a certain list of things that are on the district, and there's a certain list of things on the SHAC, and they kind of don't mesh entirely.
I'll withhold my comment.
But there are two different parts, but the part that concerns SHAC, I copied into my notes here. It says, the SHAC has to make recommendations for the appropriate grade levels and curriculum for instructions regarding the dangers of opioids. Pretty much, we copied the recommendation straight from the state code. So that's what we have. And I can tell you what that is. It's section 483.101, if anyone still cares. So there you go. I wrote it down.
Someone does.
Someone somewhere cares.
Someone does.
All right.
Allison?
Yeah.
No, it's not me.
No.
She doesn't care.
I only care about recess.
She cares about recess.
I don't care about.
She cares
So,
intensely.
Do we kind of have a consensus to move forward with this fentanyl?
Yeah, do we need to, we don't need to move.
We don't need to have a
Right, we
motion
just go
unless
on
someone
with-
wants to make it formal. Do we have a consensus to move forward with the fentanyl recommendation as presented?
I consent.
I don't feel anyone, I want to make sure no one is lurking in the background, but I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding and going, it seems pretty good.
State law regardless.
Yeah, this is so easy. That was an easy one to start with. So good job, guys. We got our first recommendation. The next one comes from Human Development and Sexuality. Who is present from that committee today? I think you might be it. I think everyone else was like, I can't be there. But
Yeah, but I was not at the last meeting.
Yes.
I was training in Dallas.
Yes.
But I was part of the conversations that led up to that decision.
So I got some stuff from Kelia, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I felt it was a little wordy and verbose in places and needed a couple of minor changes.
Yeah.
And that's what this bottom section is.
I like the bottom section better.
So-
I'm the only one here, so that's what we're going to do.
Okay, so would you read it for the fun of it?
I am the representative.
There you are.
Asked for.
Okay.
Recommendation number 1, Round Rock ISD should host community health fairs inviting community agencies to provide information to parents and students in each learning community that focus on health resources available in the community such as substance abuse, dating violence, counseling, comprehensive sex education, nutrition, group fitness programs, tutoring, or advanced learning options.
All right, let's leave it there just in case. Is there any discussion or thoughts about this one? We haven't talked about it extensively. Any questions, any other thoughts? Did you want to say anything more about it?
It was really kind of like, let's throw this spaghetti on the wall, see if it sticks, and then next year, let's flesh it out a little bit.
Yeah, love it.
This was just kind of like,
see what someone says. I love that kind of thing. Yeah, you never know.
If any of the other groups wanted to yes and.
Yeah, like we could include a whole presentation about how to qualify for free and reduced lunch. There we go. There we go. Yeah.
So the idea is that the community the learning community like Westwood or Stony Point or Round Rock High School, right? Those would, for all the feeder schools, would host a fair in their area.
Yeah, but it's a flexible idea. So what if we wanted to do, one at McNeil at the beginning of the year, and then another one at Stony Point, but it's not just limited to the people that are in that learning community.
Anyone could go.
It's just kind of
traveling fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I get the idea would be that it was that the community fair would be hosted by organizations in the area or groups in the area that are advocacy groups.
Because we sometimes get those kind of education advocacy people who are like, do you have a venue for us to talk to people? Like, no, but maybe we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I have one edit?
Sure.
Can it say dating violence prevention?
Could you say it again? I'm sorry.
Can it say dating violence prevention?
That is not what I heard you say. So dating violence prevention?
Just adding the word prevention.
Oh, yeah. That seems like a valid one.
Super key.
Yeah.
I would add that to substance abuse too. I mean, information and awareness is actually helpful on all of those things, and also what we're wanting to get out there.
That prevention's important.
We need to make the motion about amending the recommendation.
If we can, our bylaws allow us.
Is okay with consensus.
Yeah, our bylaws allow us to operate by consensus.
Okay.
Yeah.
You only have to make a motion if you don't like consensus.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's only because my professional job is suicide prevention, and our marketing person doesn't like to put the word prevention in places, and it's really
So you're part of that. Good.
trauma. Really
So it seems like by consensus.
I mean,
That's not something
it's not a bad idea.
So suicide. So we have substance abuse prevention, dating violence prevention.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay, that sound good to everybody? And
So we don't say
maybe?
prevention twice, could we say substance abuse awareness? Or is there a different word I'm sorry, the English?
Are we recommending curriculum?
No, I'm just saying, I just need prevention.
So there's from
prevention.
It could just change the order of it if you don't want to.
Oh.
So there wouldn't be we just want to be careful about the procurement part.
There would be
No, so it's like what we
curriculum.
do, what's the name of the fair that we just literally just did? Destination Line.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those. There's a summer fair. There's the back to school bash. That kind of
This aligns with a lot of
stuff.
goals. Yeah.
Right.
And it's not us
that way
saying
you can bring in people that aren't having to go through the
PTA has been
procurement
trying to get something like this.
I think that's something.
Yeah.
We did a wellness fair.
We've made recommendations for it a few times. I like your analogy of throw the spaghetti at the wall.
Because I think that it was.
It was not fleshed out. We were even trying to think of what groups would want to participate in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's not a zero cost, which I know is bad.
But it could be close to zero cost.
Is huge every year.
Yeah.
A very low cost.
Just throw it.
They'll just come.
That was the first recommendation. The second one is Round Rock ISD should streamline the consent form for human development lessons. The consent form should be made more clear by including opt-in for this educational material in the annual required enrollment forms. Instead of having teachers put the forms in a kid's backpack and sending it to
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
I'm nodding. That's
legislation
great.
on it. There's literally legislation on it.
It actually had a sunset clause.
It had a sunset clause.
Well, there's new legislation.
Yeah, it hasn't passed yet, so.
We don't know, so we're going with what we do
Yeah.
because we're not the state government.
And
But yes.
even if the.
Well, then you'll get it next year to make another
Okay.
recommendation.
Even if it does happen next year.
Yeah.
Putting it with
In
the
a
rest of the enrollment
recommendation.
forms instead of having the teachers put it in the kids' backpacks halfway through the year, you're going to get possibly more parents' eyes on it. Now they know, oh, this is part of the packet of forms I have to fill out.
Yeah.
It's just another paper.
Rather
It was
good
the
laws.
same argument of the free and reduced form.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of forms.
Communicating about the materials through district and campus communication, not just through the individual classrooms and teachers and departments. So if you get an email from the district versus an email from your kid's teacher, that kind of thing. And communication at the beginning of the spring semester the year before, so that they have time to research. Maybe they want to pull the curriculum from
They want to
the
read it.
district. Maybe
Yeah.
they want to read it through themselves.
Yep.
But kind of put them on alert 6 months before they actually have to sign the form.
Okay, that makes sense logically to me. Anyone have any questions, thoughts, changes? Yeah, and yeah, you thumbs up. So regarding the state law, there's a lot, any of these, the legislature could come up with a law tomorrow changing it. And if case, we'll roll with it come fall.
Yeah, I think that
So we could just
I think it's Campbell's.
Yeah, I don't, that goes over my head and I'm sort of happy about it. So if they change it, hey, we'll roll with it in the fall, but at least we've made a step in the right direction perhaps. Do we have general consensus on that one? I don't see anybody biting at it, so, okay. And then we have wellness, which I split into 2 paragraphs just for clarity's sake.
They're not paragraphs unless they have
But-
3 sentences.
Okay, so, but they're
Is it just one
yes.
run-on sentence?
It could be one
I
run-on
wanted to
paragraph.
put a semicolon to make it a run-on
Yeah, no,
sentence.
no.
She wouldn't let me.
No, I wouldn't. I do love semicolons, though.
You're not
All right.
first chair yet.
No.
Next year, though, when I'm
Semicolons everywhere.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, wellness. In order to standardize consistent access to recess across all elementary campuses, Round Rock ISD should adopt a district-level policy, which includes 45 minutes of unstructured recess for all students in grades K through 5. Ooh, we should change that to pre-K through 5, by the way. Yeah, pre-K through 5, because we have elementaries with pre-K.
Yeah,
I
it's,
forgot about that.
Sure. Wow. Yeah.
And the provision that recess shall not be taken away as a punishment or for academic reasons. Research shows that having access to high-duration, unstructured recess leads to significantly improved academic outcomes across the board and an increase in kids' overall mental and physical health, both of which matter immensely to our parents and community.
I would like to add a citation to that.
So we can quote you. Normally, our recommendation.
Recommendations are
in my like life outside of here. I would say yes. Let's add a citation to that. Our recommendations usually come with 20 citations. So we're going to give so many citations for this one that they won't know what's in them.
The board
There we
gets a
go.
packet.
Yeah.
Can she send the PowerPoint to the board?
Pretty much.
I'm going to.
I'll probably slightly reformat it so it all looks like the SHAC official. But yeah, that's pretty much what I intend to do.
Send it to board at
Yeah.
Round Rock ISD.
Anybody who wants to see it.
Round Rock ISD.
So I changed it to say pre-K to 5.
Let's talk, but more you listen.
I think we have talked about this one several times, and I have nary seen anybody have a hesitation about
To
it.
convince anyone.
I have a question.
Yeah, questions are great. Yeah.
I love the 45-minute number. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just
Yeah.
curious where it came from.
Research.
Okay, so are there other states that have 45 minutes?
There are other school districts in Texas that have 45
Okay.
With
minutes.
right around, around in our area.
Yeah, 45 to
Nearby.
60 minutes is seen pretty consistently in research. That's kind of like the
sweet
ideal
spot.
goals, the sweet spot, yeah. Like you don't get much more benefit past that, and before that you don't get the benefit quite as much. So,
outside too.
What is it currently in the district?
there is no standard,
Okay.
no policy in the district. So
Awesome.
it ranges from 20 minutes to 50 minutes, depending on the campus and the grade level.
Yeah.
So there are some campuses in our district that are already giving kids 50 minutes of recess.
But there are some that only get 20.
Spicewood.
There are
they only
lots
get
that only get
There are
20.
lots that only get 20.
And you might understand that that is aligned around
Oh, yes.
SES.
Yeah.
But it is also aligned on campus management in terms of size and
Somewhat,
lunch
yeah.
schedules. Like we only got 20 at Elsa England, and that was a lot for Elsa England.
You have 800 kids trying to use the same slide.
It's probably one of the lower SES schools
in elementary anyway.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's true in some of our campuses though. Although Jollyville has like lots of recess time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are outliers in that we did pull recess from most schedules, and there are outliers. There are some Title I campuses that do have like 30 minutes, but most of them have 20 minutes.
Wow.
And then it's usually the wealthier non-Title I schools that afford their children more.
But not all of them do,
But not all
because
of them.
Great
To be
Oaks,
fair.
Elsa England, at least we believe, are
Great
still
Oaks
20.
says 20, yeah. So not all of them. Like I said, there are.
It's-
There's always going to be
There's
an
a
outlier.
trend, guys.
There is a
Trend
definite
line.
trend there. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not an absolute. Yes, Gina? Nope. Unless you
No.
have.
He had a question first.
Yeah.
Just a potential amendment.
Oh, boy.
No, just adding to it. Adding to it. I think just for clarity purposes, not taken away as a punishment for behavior, discipline,
Oh, disciplinary, yeah.
or
I didn't
rectum.
necessarily want to put behavior on there.
Can it-
because
how
there
about-
are some instances where their recess behavior, their behavior at recess could necessitate them being removed for safety. And so like, it's not a punishment, it's.
A direct consequence.
A
Can I
direct
give you one example?
consequence.
Yeah.
When I was in the 5th grade, we were lining up to go to recess, and a kid in front of me turned around and bit the teacher on the arm. At that point, he needed recess taken away, and that was a direct consequence. Like, it would have been bad on the rest of us if we'd sent him to recess. So I think that's when we've talked about in the past. There's certain behaviors like you really hurt someone at recess.
And then
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
other side of that, there are reasons like my son when he
Yeah.
wants to avoid recess will like start hitting people and
Yeah.
get his recess taken away.
Yeah.
And you should not take away his
he needs a recess.
Like, believe it or not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's you definitely
I'm
don't
thinking of a
capitulate.
situation where a kid is not being safe, like on the
Right.
playground at
Yeah.
recess, where they need to sit next to a teacher.
So can we
Like,
put
during
as a punishment, either, two options, either we say as a punishment for classroom behavior, or we say put a comma and then unless safety issues arise.
It just gets very.
It gets a little bit longer.
What about?
Yeah.
Okay, so where if we don't want the word consequence,
Yeah.
is what I'm
Yeah.
hearing. How do we feel about discipline?
Because I
See,
also.
the other scenario where
I mean,
it's
technically discipline under
the other one that I have heard. This is a real story. We could all probably share real stories. I'll share one briefly. 2nd grade girl did not bring back her reading log that said her mom proved that she read her
Right.
book last night, and she had recess taken
Or
away.
library book.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
My second grader has had
Okay,
recess
that's
taken
the
away
kind
for
of,
not
like-
finishing a math sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't take away recess for that. But yeah, you should take away recess if someone is really doing something that's hurting someone.
But if we say take it away as a punishment, couldn't that also be interpreted as if someone punches someone,
Right.
that still can't be taken away?
This is kind of the recommendation. I think the theory behind this is the policy. We'll have to like elucidate that a little bit more clearly.
Yeah.
Our recommendation is let's not willy-nilly just be taking recess away.
Yeah.
Like because kids are being bad. Or however you think they're being bad.
Right.
Without
right?
due cause or as a punishment or.
As a punitive response to some and
Yeah.
such, whatever. But that's not up to us to write in the policy.
Yeah, we are
Our
not
job is to
policymakers.
make the recommendation.
We're going to recommend.
That people who are above our pay grade and
Yes.
this is what they do, they will write the policy.
Yeah.
We don't get paid, so everyone's above.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if this is where, if it, I'm not sure
you
the
have a question?
impetus for it, but I'm so sorry.
No, you're, carry on.
Go ahead.
So my question is, why is it just including pre-K through 5th grade? Why is there no recess for middle school and high school kids?
So we did discuss that because I do agree.
She had a whole slide on it.
We
I
love
do
it.
have-
She might have
Oh, yeah.
No,
Slides,
we did discuss that because I do agree that kids of all ages need breaks, and that is very important. I think because we're asking for a district level policy, recommending
Recommending,
a district level policy, strongly recommending a district level policy. We wanted to make it as easy of an ask as for people to swallow to begin with, and then the goal was if we can get an elementary level policy, then we can build upon our recommendation and say, hey, this is working really well in elementary. Can we extend it to middle school to start to say, hey, these kids need a break too, and look how well it's working in elementary, blah, 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 moving along. So it was one of those things that this year we're going to try to make it easy for them to say yes, and then we'll build upon that. I'm not going anywhere.
Can I make a recommendation?
Next year, or sorry. Sorry. I didn't
No, go ahead.
But my understanding is 6th grade on, it's a bell schedule that's a little bit more difficult to. Correct.
And there's also not a facility on every campus that would be safe for recess.
It'll be
You don't want somebody to get hung up on that and then go, oh, those kindergartners can't have recess. So,
Well, and then the pedagogy behind break times that's different in secondary, middle school, and high school is passing periods.
Right.
So elementary children, because they're with a core teacher all day, except when they walk down the hall to a specials or a music class or to go to recess, where high school students, middle school students have 5 minutes,
to chat with their
every
friends.
hour between classes. So that's what, as a principal, I would come back and say they do have break times and down times. Now we do have several of our high schools have like an advisory period, so they have a time, 20 minutes or so within the day, several days a week, where they kind of get a little more some downtime or some intervention. They get some intervention work, or they meet, they do some college and career planning, things like that. So I know at the middle school, if you watched last night, I hope you all stay up late and watch board meetings. But last week's board meeting, a couple of our middle school administrators presented to the board about a new middle school schedule. They call it an 8-period day, but it's really 7-period plus lunch day. But the intent is to build in intentional advisory times for our middle school students to just get that time. So that's my soapbox.
It was a really good presentation. You should go back and watch it.
All right. Let's go here first and then you. Okay.
I do have a recommendation, just a small language change, because technically if you're pulling a kid from anything, but from recess even, it's considered, I think it's tracked, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Gerard, but it's tracked as ISS. So to me, you want the word discipline, as discipline, because it's tracked. If you're pulling a kid out of...
They're not actually pulling them, though. So my daughter just had to bring her math sheet outside and do her math sheet outside. Is basically, she wasn't allowed to have free play recess until she finished her math sheet.
My kids were assigned to walk the track or sit in
track.
places
All walk the
100
track.
times.
They're taking away
Never
the free
recorded.
play aspect of recess. It's
Gotcha.
now, so
it's not like you're worried about them being, because if you're
staying inside. No.
Okay.
It's the unstructured play.
It's the unstructured play part.
It's the unstructured play part. Yeah, the kids
Because
are
that's
now
the important piece of the 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Is the unstructured part of it. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like they're sitting in classrooms for the most part. I mean, at least not at our campus, because we don't have enough coverage to have kids sitting in classrooms. But they're sitting next to the teacher doing a worksheet instead of being allowed to play for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and different campuses handle it differently, but it's
Right.
seen all over the place. Let's see, you have another question? I'm going
Yes.
here and then you too.
I really like the idea of making sure that those advisories are built in, because I know not every campus has them, if I'm correct, but also with the passing periods, when I was at Canyon Vista 2 years ago, the passing periods were 4 minutes, and especially Canyon Vista, we have such a large student body that to get from one class to the other would actually take longer than 4 minutes, and so we would be stuck in halls. So, those passing periods, we would actually consider those the opposite of breaks.
Yeah,
because
you had to run.
Run.
Yeah, I love that, and I might put it down on our list to talk about next year.
Yeah.
It's not, but I love that idea because I've heard it from others, especially current students are like, that isn't.
Yeah, no, my
It's
never
run. Yeah,
agree
yeah.
to the fact that a passing period counts as downtime.
I was gonna say, well, and even around our high
There's no
school,
way.
it's physically impossible to get to some buildings from the other buildings in the 7 minutes. to
Yeah,
get
so
up.
I wrote it down on our topic for next year because I think there's some health related aspect to that, and I love the suggestion. Yeah, then I was going here and then there and then you. Okay,
I don't have any.
not you, but she's okay.
Does the research require that the 45 minutes be unbroken?
No, actually, it's better supported if it's broken into chunks.
Excellent,
For
okay.
children. And originally I had that, but again, it got a little wordy.
We want to keep it shorter and
That's
simpler.
something in our PowerPoint, so that's another
Yeah.
reason that I recommend that we have an oral presentation to the board.
Yeah.
Because some of these little details
Are in there.
are not going to be in this sentence, but are going to be in our supporting paperwork.
If the research backed that the 45 minutes was best unbroken, I was going to we should add unbroken, but if that's not what the research suggests, there's no reason to include that.
It actually prefers chunks, and there is a strong preference for giving them at least one chunk before lunch.
Yeah.
So they work up an appetite, basically.
Yes.
That was also in the stuff from the nutrition. It said
Yeah.
that that was one of their goals on that.
Yeah, work up an appetite. It all comes back. Yeah.
I'm telling you, recess will solve all our problems.
Everything, all done.
All of
Okay,
them.
Alyssa, what do you got?
I have a purely semantic
do it.
suggestion.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's why we got stuck on this word punishment, but the phrasing of it as a punishment or for makes my brain want to.
I don't like
Can
it.
it
That's not
say
great.
shall
Yeah.
not be taken away for academic reasons or as a punishment?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Sure.
all I think.
That sounds better.
Okay.
It kind of broke my brain when I wrote it, but I didn't know
get
at
it.
the time.
Taken away for academic reasons or as a punishment, period.
Multiple eyes.
Yes.
Done.
Thank you.
Yep.
Look at us committee.
Look at that.
I wanted my kid to chime in.
Okay, love it. Yes.
So just going back off his question or suggestion regarding the passing periods,
Yeah.
that is just a valid, important point to note
Yeah.
because for our special education students, that is not downtime. That is the most
It's horrible.
anxiety-filled time
Yeah.
of their day, which, that's why recess is so important. Downtime
Those
is
transitions are
Even
they're
though
hard on
a lot of
students.
campuses do have these, these periods where they can focus on academics or get some help or whatever that they need. It's still not classed as downtime because, again, if it's academic related and they're behind, the stress is accumulating.
Yeah.
So
Just
that's
spoons.
on our radar.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
using the spoons.
and I say that because my son is a sped student.
Yeah. Yeah.
We live and breathe it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally get it. Totally get it. I written down 2 different things about that now. Sorry. Good reminder.
Well,
I'm so glad you're
Don't be specific, try to hold it back up.
Yeah.
Great.
Any other thoughts, observations? I think we're going to harp on this one. We're going to get this one.
I don't
Our
prefer
best
the term
ability.
harp.
Harp wasn't the right word either. We're going to pound this one. This is our best thing, right? Ever.
Strongly make a
Yeah.
case.
We're going to make a really good, because honestly, it is a really good case.
Advocate.
Yeah.
Shove down the throat.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
I'm going to sit on it
Yeah.
until.
Yeah.
That's definitely the phrase we're going for on
No, we're not going to say that on camera. Okay, that's it.
Metaphorically.
Yes. It always works straight.
Metaphorically.
Yes, absolutely metaphorically.
I just want everyone
have
to
so much
observe
great
how
supporting
I'm not
evidence.
saying anything.
No.
Right now I just did, but otherwise,
In-house cinnamon rolls
I'm being
to help
so
them make that
appropriate.
See, there you go.
It's true. But
We can bribe this one.
We've all assumed it for you.
Yeah, right.
But this is a great,
the ones we're going to replace it with.
this is a great example of where a lot of this detail gets put into the supporting document,
Yeah.
which can say, hey, we've read these 67 articles, whatever it might be, that talk about this has been studied in a lot of places and it really is a good idea. And then it can kind of get into a couple of those questions because when someone is presented with this idea, they immediately have questions. Just yesterday, I talked to someone, former teacher. She's like, oh, I would love that. But she has a follow-up question. Everyone has a question about this. The fentanyl thing, it doesn't bring about a lot of conversation, but this one does. So I look forward to really using the best of that research that the committee did and seeing what we can do about this one. Other thoughts? I love the double thumbs up. Any other thoughts? I mean, you can't only vote once, but there we go. I think that one feels like it is solid. Okay.
We added pre-K?
Yes,
Yes, we added pre-K and we moved for academic reasons.
Yep, moved it around.
So that the syntax reads better.
Yep, love it. Okay, so we're up to next steps. We did the wellness plan review. Yay, us. Okay, final meeting is not needed. Yay, us. Seriously. Y'all are awesome. I got a lot of yay us's tonight. I've got... Okay, membership updates. I read the names earlier, didn't I? Yeah.
You did.
Of the people who your term is expiring. If
that's
you
one of me.
are interested in serving again, go to the SHAC website. There's a form at the bottom that you fill out.
Only if you're expired.
Yeah, only if your term is expiring.
When do I have to do that by?
Probably in the next month to 6 weeks. I'm not really sure.
Who's going to remember?
I'll probably try to remind you. I'll try.
I will forget the camera. I've got too much email.
I read the names earlier. Yep. And obviously, if your life circumstances have changed and you are moving to Timbuktu this summer and can't continue serving, I think Angie would love to know so they can get the ball rolling.
And if you get a
beginning of a 3-year term.
Yes.
You
Need to let it know.
All the jobs in the district are bougie.
Oh, yeah.
All of us.
You want to go to work for food service, then, you'll have to leave us. In all honesty, though, those of you who are rolling off, I'll say it, but I think everyone else could too. You were fantastic. Really, and it's like I joined this committee not knowing what it was, and I think most of us could say the same story. And we've met such interesting people that we would never have met otherwise. We found connections with people we would never have found otherwise. And so we'll give a little applause for those of you who are leaving.
Gratifying.
You're awesome. You're awesome. Okay, then we have announcements. Expect an email from me with the final report in May or June. I just want to be transparent and make sure you all get it.
Can I make an announcement that's not SHAC related?
Yeah, just a minute.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
coming up?
Yeah, I'll get through mine and then I'll let you do yours.
Perfect.
I have, is there anyone, I'm going to solicit a few of you, you're going to be on my list to help me review that recess stuff. Is there anybody who would I love editing documents and I would so love to help Becky look through this?
I can help you.
Katie has helped me in the past.
One of the few things
so.
I'm actually pretty good.
Is there anyone else? Absolutely. I will send those to you specifically.
Do you want me to redline them?
Whatever works, but just kind of give me an eyeball on it to say this looks like we've covered the basics. Okay. And
boy, my ODD is kicking in. I've got to be honest.
And I will also, when I hear from him after he hears from the board about when this presentation is going to be,
We'll do it.
I will also just let you guys know, you certainly don't have to come, but if I'm having to talk, I'd love to see some friendly faces.
I'll go.
So there we go.
At the May meeting?
We think it's the May meeting, but who knows?
They'll let us know.
Yeah. I've been to one whole board meeting ever, and this is, kind of new to me.
I remember that meeting.
You were.
So much better
there
the
we go.
next day on double
You
speed.
spoke it.
Yes, yeah. And then, are there any other announcements that whatever you have? Yeah.
I have something.
Yeah.
The Council of PTA and National PTA are hosting a Screen Smart event with Meta next week, Tuesday, at Cedar Ridge High School. It's a really big deal. We're hoping to get at least 200 people to show up and participate in this event. We have some great prizes to give away. So if you have teens or preteens, please bring them out. It's a family-friendly event. If you have a child who's under 18, we actually arranged for free childcare and alternate entertainment for those kids.
Wow. Fun.
Yes.
Nice.
So with National PTA comes a lot of perks when we host a program, and this is one of those perks. So please come out and take advantage of.
Where can
on the PTA website, rrisdpta.org. It's the first page, also on our socials.
Do you know what day it is?
It is next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. at Cedar Ridge High School.
Great.
Not the PAC, in the high school.
Yeah, in the high school.
And
Cool.
it's geared towards middle and high school?
13 plus.
13 plus.
Cool. Great. Great.
Thank you so much.
Totally.
We would really appreciate it. So it looks good for our district when national organizations come down and we can
totally
make a big show for them.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
Yeah. Any other announcements?
The May board meeting is
Yeah.
the 15th.
Okay.
Just so, is that right? Is that right? Yes, I have that right. May 15th is the third Thursday.
That's awesome because I'm not going to my national parks until the next week, so I should be there.
Lock it out.
There we go.
Should be fun.
Good. Yay.
Good time had by all.
There we go.
The PTA will be giving their update that meeting as well.
Oh, we can just all talk together. All right, any other announcements? The last thing I think I had there was topic to suggest for next year. I will read what I have, and if you have any more, just throw them to me and I'll write them down. A formal wellness class. That is for Monica, who's not here tonight. Suicide prevention, it's an ongoing topic, but we try to write that one down as often as we can. Revision to the standing rules for the election process. The standing rules haven't been revised in a way too long time. We might just be able to do that really quickly. Concession stand food regarding the wellness plan. Other wellness plan PE goals. The passing period as downtime in the day for secondary and how it's not really downtime and how it could be a little bit longer, and just generally that secondary needs more downtime. Anything else? Yes. Phones.
Ooh,
We
yes.
talk about phones more. We'll see what happens with the ledge this year, because I'm sure something will filter down.
Might have yonder patches.
Who knows? Yeah, absolutely. That's always a fun one to talk about.
Unfunded mandate.
Unfunded, yeah, I was going to say.
We love love those, don't we? Yes.
$30 a pouch, mind you.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
$30 a pouch.
They're these fancy little pouches you put your phone in.
And they're so
Lock shut.
easy to jailbreak. I tried it. You just put a magnet and it opens.
Yes,
So.
because there has to be a way to open it if you forget.
I'll spread it on TikTok.
It's a fascinating topic, though.
Oh, that information is long out there.
Don't worry.
Anything else that we should write down to consider next year?
I think that was everything we mentioned tonight, yeah.
Just in case anyone has a burning passion, those of you who are leaving, like, I wish we had done something, here's your chance. All right, no. Recess we'll talk about forever. Okay. So I think that finishes our formal work. And I'm sort of sad because I miss you all. But there we go. We did it, and it's 7:46, so I will, unless I hear any objection.
I move to adjourn.
We do need a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we got a motion from Ian and a second from Gina, and we are adjourned now at 7:46 p.m.